I make my money.
UFC does not treat the minor fighters well at all.
No, you have to become a superstar.
They don't have any kind of like health insurance. They don't get kind of really any benefit.
Even the top of the
winning the money.
Even the top of the women, like you hear about these guys that are like average fighters, but then you have Cyborg and Holly Holm, who are like the cream of the crop in women,
and getting nothing,
and they get nothing. Yeah, the only one they're relegated to the free show.
Now Rousey got smacked up by Holly Holm, and now it's
well, there goes that.
Yeah. So I would love to see
another person that did not study enough boxing. She got wrecked in the striking.
Oh yeah, I would love to see Conor McGregor switch over to boxing.
I was going to say, I would love to see him fight Holly Holm. No, I'm kidding.
No, but
that would be Mayweather.
But our guys at Not a Clue Podcast don't feel the same way. They don't want McGregor to switch over to boxing.
I think he could do it both ways.
I want to switch over to another form of octagon, MMA fighting, and say, as you said, screw you, UFC. But he's not. I don't think he's the guy that'll do it because
no, he's the guy in UFC that's actually getting paid.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the issue.
So he'll stay there while he's getting paid until somebody does something to irritate him, because Conor McGregor seems like he's the kind of guy that acts off of emotion and how he feels or how a situation makes him feel. And once Dana White really pisses him off, that's when I could see him being like, "All right, hell with you, I'm out of here."
I feel Bellator is like the gimmicky version of UFC.
Only because it needs to be right now.
Because they have Ken Shamrock, who is a UFC legend. They're trying to bring in people from that. You've also got, Jason David Frank, the guy who played Tommy in the Power Rangers. Like, come on. Gimmicks.
I mean, they're just, they're trying to generate press. The UFC is very dominant in that atmosphere, so they're just trying to get whatever they can. I think if more fighters went over to Bellator, then you'd see a lot more money get into it, and
I think that's going to happen because I'm pretty sure some of the bigger draws are going to switch over either to Pride or Bellator. What's his name? Mark Hunt, who fought Brock Lesnar, supposedly isn't happy. CM Punk might make the switch, and he's a big name, even though he didn't fight too well. Right? Yeah,
CM Punk.
Yeah. You were going to say something, Dan Beebe. Then we got to move on to the next topic. What were you going to say?
A couple things. One, Ken Shamrock. He was sort of originally one of the founders, wasn't he? Of UFC, or he helped really kind of launch.
Right. Yeah, he was like the first big star.
Okay. Him moving to another area might. Speak some volumes,
for whatever the message is.
I mean, it was because he wanted to fight into his 50s. That's what the message was.
And two is I'm just glad it didn't go through and put any money on the fight.
Because if you would
save your long shots for the horse racing.
Listen, if you would put $4,000 or $400,000 bet on Floyd Mayweather to win, which Floyd Mayweather tried to do.
Yeah.
You only would have walked away with $500,000.
Yeah.
So that's how ridiculous it was. If you bet $4, you would walk away with $5.
Yep.
That's crazy. So we're going to move on now from fighting in the ring to fighting outside the ring. Just a quick note. Ezekiel Elliott's suspension hearing continues until tomorrow. And potentially beyond that, there's a chance he might take it to a federal court like Brady did, which would mean he could start until he's told he can't. A lot of people now are a lot less worried that, Ezekiel Elliott not being there will, ruin their season. Some things that I guess people are just now realizing. They have two running backs who in their careers have combined for 10,000 yards.
Yeah.
Who combined have 5 1,000-yard rushing seasons. Also, not to mention that the teams that they're playing leading or in the first 6 weeks, besides the Giants and I don't remember who the other one was, aren't that good. So even without Ezekiel Elliott, there's a chance they can still go 4-2.
Yeah. The thing. Elliott's thing is a wider. It's a symptom of a wider issue, and that's that the NFLPA just completely screwed up in the last round of negotiations. They were worried about revenue.
Oh, yeah,
and
giving
not worried about players'
complete
rights.
control.
Yeah. So they don't really have much of a leg to stand on from what I've read legally. I think they're just trying to get a reduction of a game or two in this suspension. Regardless of if he did anything or not, the NFL doesn't need to know that. It doesn't matter.
Well, here's what the big issue with this is. I mean, obviously, the big issue is, the potential that he abused a woman or fought anyone, really. Yeah. I think, putting your hands on someone else is unnecessary in most cases anyways.
Right.
Regardless of the gender. So, I mean, and I think that the NFL kind of looked at that, too, when there was talk of, is Darrelle Revis going to be suspended for his role in a fight? So I feel like, leaving gender out of it, I feel like the NFL is starting
it's so hard to say what happened.
Well, that's the problem. There are witnesses saying that Zeke didn't do any of it.
That's what I've heard too, and that's why I'm like.
Not only that, but the
NFL doesn't care, and based on the rules, they don't need to.
I mean, if he takes it to a federal judge, then the NFL has to release the information they have, which he is saying is nothing. Not saying that they don't have any information on the case, but saying that the information that they have doesn't prove anything. That the information that his camp has does.
Right. I think, if I remember correctly, then they can still suspend him for at least like 3 or 4 games. If it goes to federal, if the judge rules in favor of Ezekiel Elliott, then I don't think they can suspend him. I think they still can because they're their own organization. They just can't affect his pay. They'd still have to pay him game checks, and maybe that would come out of the NFL's pocket, not the Cowboys' pocket, because of because it's them suspending him.
Commissioner Goodell. Yeah.
I think it's absolutely bogus, and I will completely flip the script if it comes out that he did do it. But
absolutely.
If
he did do it, then he deserves to be suspended. And the issue is the NFL only does it with big ticket players when it's a high profile type case.
Let's exactly perfect example. Why is Josh Gordon not allowed to play because of marijuana?
Right.
All right. And
that's an issue.
Well, I mean, it is an issue, because of legal and whatnot. The NFL, because they're his employer, have to offer him all sorts of things. And if he doesn't accept it, the NFL can still get in trouble. And that's a mess they want to avoid by banning him. That was their solution. But why is it that after 4 offenses he gets a ban until they're ready to reinstate, but Randy Gregory gets 8? 8th time we're really going to suspend him now.
Yeah.
Like, come on. They're so wishy-washy. It's not
such a
funny.
lack of consistency. There needs to be an independent.
I just want to see a judge just rule everything. Just a judge take care of it all.
Just come up, make the rule.
Just an independent party that's not in the NFL, and that's
even
not
that would be better. Or just
player.
That's okay. We got explicit lyrics. It's fine. It's fine.
Just come to a consensus, because it seems like the Zeke was like, okay, well, there's really no evidence to suggest this. There's a lot of he said, she said. Let's cover our own ass 6 games. Yeah. Like, that's what it seemed like. And the NFL's inconsistency, if they're so concerned about protecting the damn shield, then you need to be the standard of...
You need to work with the police.
Well, you just need to be the standard of integrity in how you conduct yourself.
And that's the opposite of what they're doing.
They look like fools.
Yeah. It would
they don't look like they are fools.
So much better.
We know that, but I'm saying what they look like from an outside perspective. They would look so much better if they could just say, this is being handled independently. Once we, have a determination, that's when the punishment will come down. But we are not, we are waiting for this verdict. And, then it's really not something that anyone can blame them for by following a rule of law, even if it's not, the rule of law, like the U.S. or state rule. If it's an independent party, though, that's upholding the NFL's rules, even if they wrote them, if it goes to an outside party to review the rules and review what the player did that was breaking conduct rules, It needs to be standardized.
I feel like, and in order to do that, you have to have definitive proof. I think in order to punish someone, you should have to have definitive
Which
proof.
is
Issue
fine.
warnings is different.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
they had
that's
said,
understandable.
listen, Ezekiel Elliott, we have reason to believe, based on what has been said, that you did this, and you also did this, and you also did this. Just know we are watching you.
I have a hard time punishing a player for something that he supposedly did.
Especially when the police said he didn't do it.
When he's not guilty of doing it in any other way, shape, or form. Like, drug test, you're guilty. It came back as the results that it was. There's no arguing that. But the police don't have enough to charge you. That means they don't have enough probable cause to even bring this to a jury. But yet the NFL has found enough reason to believe that you did to the point that you deserve that suspension.
Yeah, the NFL is guilty until proven innocent, not innocent until proven guilty. And that's a problem because they're on the main stage and you have these players getting punished either for no reason or they're not getting punished when they should be.
In a country that's supposed to be liberty and justice for all.
And that's why it needs to be independent because they only punish them when it's a high-profile player or when it's something that's gotten in the press. Yeah, there are many current players that have beaten their wives, their girlfriends, their children, but they're not high-profile enough that the NFL is going to do anything about it. They're just going to let
this
sweep
wouldn't
it
even
under
be
the
an
rug.
issue if he was a lineman.
Yeah,
We wouldn't even be talking about that.
Well, it depends. It depends. If he were Tyron Smith or Travis Frederick, I bet he would.
Somebody with a reputation of this problem, yes. But we're talking about this because he's a running back. He's a star running
Of
back
the
who had a
Cowboys,
blast of a season
America's team.
Yeah, on one of the biggest stages you could possibly have for Dallas.
And you know what? I feel like if there's one group that's handling this domestic abuse situation correctly, it's the Giants. They've had 2 cases in 2 years. Both players been cut.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I think that has more to do with the ownership and the Mara standpoint on those.
oh yeah, they're clearly
not
they're
going
clearly
to accept
class.
Any of that ever happening?
They are class, without a doubt. They are class. But
I think independent rules apply to everyone the same.
I think we can agree
that's
it
what's not
needs to be
happening.
changed, and sooner rather
That's
than
why
later.
I can't wait for these talks because I think the NFLPA has a lot of things to bring to the board, and there's probably going to be a lockout.
The other question that I have for you, and I don't think there'll be a lockout. I'll get to that in a minute. Question I have for you guys: what other job besides professional sports, if you were to be involved in domestic abuse, would you lose your job? None. No other jobs.
Depending
Unless
on
you're
how
like a
public
cop.
it is.
If you're a cop.
Depending on how public it is and what the situation, I could.
I wouldn't
depends
lose
on
my
your-
job.
Yeah, but it depends on your position.
Yeah.
You may, if you get arrested for it and you can't show up to work, you'd lose your job.
Or the next job you're trying to find. If you ever got fired from this job, good luck trying to find a job with.
No, there are
an
laws.
record.
They can't discriminate against you for that.
They
Unless you're in a
can't,
civil
but
service position.
They might. Just because you can't do something.
They'll find
doesn't
something
mean you're
else
not
to
gonna.
blame
and
it
that
on.
might that varies state to state as well.
Yeah, but what did you just say? I said we'll get to that in a second.
I forget.
Yeah, I don't remember. What it was. I got so worked up over whether or not you get fired. I was like, yeah I guess you could.
Do you remember, Dan?
So the lockout?
The lockout.
The lockout.
Yes.
Nice.
I don't think the lockout is going to happen, and here is why. I feel like once you get players like Odell Beckham, like Ezekiel Elliott, like Dak Prescott, who are rising to the top, but still making only $1.8 million a year, there's no way they can afford to lock out a season without pay. Not a chance. And if your stars can't afford it,
They can afford it more than the NFL can, I think.
I don't think so at all.
The NFL viewership has been declining. If there's a lockout, that I think astronomically rises. They're going to lose fans and not get them back.
And then that's going to hurt the players too. That's going to hurt everybody involved. And the reason to lockout is to get something. I feel like it'll go to arbitration before the lockout happens.
I don't think the PA is as worried about the revenue as they are about players' rights. And I think a lot of owners are kind of tired of Goodell's management, so they might not.
No, they're
be
not.
as
They're giving him an
resistant.
extension.
I'd
extending him.
agree
As a
with you
whole.
if they didn't give him an extension.
Yeah, they're the ones